Welcome back to Metal Heroes Review, episode 128. We are here discussing episodes of Janperson. Gotcha, that stuff again. So, we're discussing episodes 19 and 22. I was not initially planning on doing 22, but given the fact that 21 was probably a two-parter, I'll explain the reason for when I get to it. And by the way, interesting thing with episodes 19 and 20. Renko is like her faction, the Super Science Network. They're actually featured for 2 straight episodes. I'm like, wow. Yeah, 4 straight episodes with this one character. Like, that is something. And then have the next 2 focus on George Maccabee, the leader of the, like, he's him in his Neo Science Guild, his Neo Guild. Like, wow, that's quite cool. So in the case of episode 19, basically the whole thing in this one is that there's this phantom thief known as the Phantom Lady, even though she's dressed like a cheetah. It's like basically Toei probably want to call her maybe Cheetah Lady, but maybe they probably didn't want to receive a lawsuit from DC Comics, because I'm sure they probably want to call her the Cheetah, but because literally she's dressed like a cheetah. Heck, even her tail basically would be a bunch of guards. And apparently her suit is a teleportation suit, which allows her to teleport wherever she needs to. And she's a human, not some bio thing. It's a human wearing a teleportation suit. By the way, Janperson does not technically shoot her the whole episode. And the whole thing of it is like she can teleport via these little eye things. Like she planted one on a cat, which allows her to get to this museum, which allows her to steal this blue diamond. Apparently this blue diamond is used to make, like, special soldiers for the Super Science Network. I'm like, interesting. And then she runs to Janperson, where she puts the thing on him, and then proceeds to transport inside of his body and start wrecking it. There's also a subplot in this episode of this detective who only appears in this one episode, where him and this girl, who at first calls him uncle, that sounds like they're not really related. At one point when she joked when she thought, oh, he maybe touched her breast, but no. I thought this was a boy. No, this was a girl. Yeah, it was a girl. She apparently got shot by him by accident, and the thing is, he has been sort of traumatized over this, and Janperson has him try to shoot, basically, this thing so she can get the pamphlet out of him, because he's damaged. So he doesn't technically do any fighting per se. It's most like him getting possessed later on once again. And the whole thing with this episode was to restore confidence in what he's referred to, what he is, some people refer to him as the Metro PD's best sharpshooter. Okay, interesting. It's a big confidence boost for him. The Counter Panther Lady. And Renko's like, oh, don't worry, rest up, all over in prison. From what I read, this is a character's only appearance this whole show. And by the way, the lady in the suit, also in story, created the suit because basically she's a expert in teleportation technology. Okay, moving on to episode number 20. This one has a special historical note with it, because this has a development on Janperson himself, this one. Because the whole thing is this guy who wants to create ninjas. And I'm thinking with a ninja thing, I'm like, they really missed out on an opportunity to have Jiraiya here. That would have been really cool if Jiraiya made a guest appearance in this show. Yeah, it'd been a few years. I'm sure the actor probably would be happy to play Jiraiya again, but no. They didn't have him here. This would like he would have been really perfect for this episode. Nope, let's not bring in Jiraiya. Let's not basically have Janperson work with this lazy bum who's also a father, and then discover that he is actually has the blood of Sasuke Sarutobi, who, from what I've read, is what considered one of the greatest ninjas of all time. Yeah, he's a very good ninja. How the heck this guy has his blood? Don't know. And apparently they happen to where use science to convert people to ninjas. Despite the fact that's not how that works. I guess they wanted to mix science with ninja stuff. And one thing historical about this episode is we actually figure out After 20 episodes, we finally figure out where the heck Janperson gets his cards from. So, the little star thing he has in front of his hand, on his left hand, that he keeps displaying the whole... He keeps doing like, oh yeah, I'll do this. Apparently, behind the star is a pack of cards they use to throw to get people's attention. I'm like, okay, interesting. Though when you first see it, it looks like the original version of the card that even the first episode. Then later on, then when you see it, it's a new card debuted in episode 13. I thought that was interesting. I didn't think basically that we have to wait 20 episodes to basically explain this little thing. Which I'm like, okay. And then of course that, well, the guy, Dr. Kibble, gets basically like, also Janperson asks why you have to. He's like, oh, shut up. And basically tries to take him out. He's like, oh crap, he has a slight injury. They can easily recover from his arm. He's like, oh crap, he's injured. Next target. Yes. I mean, yeah, he's injured. He's bleeding, yes, but he can definitely survive from that, no problem. But I'm like, yeah, it's kind of a dumbish episode, but it's also kind of fun with the ninja stuff. But the ninja stuff was kind of weird, but the only thing fun about this episode was the revelation where Janperson's car came from. Yeah. Also, we get a chance to see him use both guns, something he'd been teasing the whole time when he was like trying to, when that voice in his head, which apparently overcame in episode 18, we see him use both guns, his regular blaster, to destroy this whole lab, which was really cool. And the doctor, him and his associates are all arrested by the end of the episode. Second episode in a row, he does not kill the bad guys. Nope, does not kill the bad guys. Well, there's a reason why. They're humans. So Janperson doesn't kill human. Despite they're evil, he doesn't kill them. He will kill evil robots, but not that one. And then move on to 2122. And there's a reason why, basically, I decided to do 22 as well. So we start with a flash forward. We have this clunky robot attempting to break out this quarry, which has this barrier. And then there's this item, which is, they actually explain this later on in the episode, the explanation for this. And then we have the debut of a brand new character here, which I'm sure probably totally spent a lot of money on this suit. Because this episode was nowhere to first, because we see the motorcycle, we see the awesome guns. So this episode is the debut of Gun Gibson. Yes, Gun Gibson. A character, for what I read, is actually one of the show's main characters. And they debut him in 21? I'm like, that's weird. I would have thought they would have done it early on, but why the 21st episode? That I thought was really weird. We also debut his partner, also seemed like his girlfriend, Carol, which he likes, like, having basically sit on his shoulder like he's the macho man carrying Miss Elizabeth around. And apparently, they explain, now this two-parter is a follow-up episode 5 with, like, oh, there was this mysterious person, this is the escape of those prisoners back in episode 5. And here it's like, oh, I'm investigating the computer, and then I'm like, did the previous, like, 14 episodes basically were a distraction for him with all the craziness? And, like, well, so it's, then of course, oh, look, it's Janperson. And then we flashback before this, about 3 days prior to this, where Janperson revealed he's been researching the robot prison computer. Now, the robot prison itself made his debut, I think it was in episode 5, I think it was. Yeah, it was episode 5 made his debut appearance. And this also was the first time Neo Geo was active, if that's their debut in episode 4. And then, like, they did nothing with this plot thread at all, and now we follow up with it here. And then we show off, like, well, and then, okay, so he has to infiltrate the prison. So the prison does know about somebody breaking into their computers. They did not know it was Janperson until a little bit later on. So, also, apparently, when criminal robots take his prison, their combat programming is deleted, replaced with safety programming. So when they're supposedly released, they become worker robots. Yep, that is how that's supposed to work. So, after the first one, and of course the doctor working with the guy in charge of this project is one of the guys who actually was one of the guys who helped develop Janperson's AI. So he works with him. He's like, okay, like after the first, like, I'll take it this one. I guess his coworker. So he's technically a supervisor. Like, okay, that's perfectly fine. And then he just sort of deletes and just really quickly. And then of course, like, well, he didn't exactly do anything to him at all. So then we show off Gun Gibson later on, where he just nonchalantly walks in. This, of course, was a lot of the episodes a flashback, but I love the debut of the character. We just show off the gun, we show off his motorcycle, show off his guns, and then eventually show him off, which he looks awesome. Yeah, design wise, he's just a slightly a repainted version of Janperson, just basically, so it's just the only thing similar is basically the mouth part of him, but most of it's the same height. And the thing with his girlfriend Carol, I've heard of his girlfriend, it's obviously somebody wearing a suit, and so probably pretty light, because I highly doubt they would have the actor who plays Gun Gibson carry somebody who's very heavy on his shoulder. So I'm sure this is probably just a very light person. It's probably like it's probably a woman. It's probably based on the build. It could be a woman inside that suit, but I don't know. But the thing is, at times Toei tends to have female characters where the female monsters, whether the suit actors are guys. They don't usually have where the suit actor is a woman. Not usually, no. So then he overhears it and like, oh crap, this thing is actually Janperson. And then of course he has to play with the computer. It's like, okay, so we found out you're Janperson, and we need you to take this thing, which we show off in the flash forward. You fire at this is where the detonator is, and it proceeds to get out of there. And then, of course, they fight for a bit, and, well, discover, yeah, you're Janperson, so doesn't know what the assignment is. And it turns out the person working with Neo Gil at the prison, you think, is it one of the guards? Nope, it's the warden. Yes, the warden is working with Neo Guild to create criminals to take over society. Which George is basically doing the plot his younger brother did back in episode 2. I'm like, why he said he was weak, but why would he reuse his brother's plot? Actually, his plan. Like, why would that? Don't know. And then, of course, George's like, I'm going to enjoy executing him bit by bit. And he's like, I don't care about Gun Gibson. This basically is my assassin robot. So then, of course, they break out, and Gun Gibson breaks them out, and then, of course, they have a little fight, which, of course, the criminal robots are reverted back to criminals, and they basically become spectators with Carol, and then the warden converts them, gives basically a target. Janperson, Gun Gibson, Carol, what's in our attacking? Of course, there's an explosion to reveal that the warden's actually a robot. Really cool here. Eventually, after a brief fight with the warden, who is a robot, he's killed, and then they have to escape while reverting the robots back normal, and then they have to, like, restore, and of course they can't exactly touch the computer because apparently there's an explosive in it. And then George decided to randomly just hit the device himself, and this damages the AI for Carol. And then it's discovered, it's mentioned by Gun Gibson, that Carol's AI is based on his. So then he takes the AI chip with him, takes her sword, but leaves the body there for reasons, and then the place blows up, the barrier is destroyed, and they get out of there, and the doctor is whisked away, not sure where he went, and Gun Gibson has a small funeral for Carol, and then he goes off and says, don't get in my way, George is my target, which then he drives off, and that's the episode. Gotta admit, I would say of these 4 episodes, I love 21-22, I thought they were really cool, I love those ones. 19 is a weird one, but I like the whole thing of where the cards came from. And 19, 19 was interesting. It was a nice standalone episode. Like 1920 were definitely standalone episodes. It definitely felt that way. 2021, it's basically an obvious two-parter. And also now the Robo business is gone. Yes, after debuting in episode 5 and then blowing up here, I like did not buy a new one. Who knows? But also, why the heck would they wait like 15 episodes after they debut the president to like follow up with it? Yeah, it makes no sense, but really cool stuff here. Okay, so that's pretty much a particular video. Please be sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications. Next up we have is the final episode of Core 1 for One Punch Man. And then after that, I'm going to start up Project Red. And then I head back to Janperson for a couple episodes and work on my remaining anime today. Okay, next video.